welcome to Theatrical Styles for Kids. My name's Laura Swerner, unless you don't like this research project, in which case, my name is Drew McDaniels. Anyways, today we're going to be discussing some styles of theater that came to life in the 20th century. And after we do that, I'll be showing you a brief recreation of a classic tale that you all know and love in each style. Let's begin. So the first thing we're going to discuss, you may have heard of it, or you may not have heard of it if you're super behind in this class, Futurism. So Futurism is this artistic movement from the early 1900s that hated the past, but was pretty keen on, you guessed it, the future. They loved action, speed, and dynamism. They celebrated violence, war, and technology. The movement was founded in 1909 by this Italian poet named F.T. Marinetti. Futurism was controversial for a lot of reasons. Did I mention they celebrated war? But one of the most controversial aspects of Marinetti's ideology was his rejection of what he saw as the feminization of society, leading him to proclaim in his manifesto a scorn of women. Well, women futurists were understandably a little perplexed by that idea, so his female colleague, Valentine de Saint-Point, responded to this by writing the Manifesto of Futurist Women. In this text, she called for women to return to their sublime warrior instincts of violence and cruelty. Futurists wanted a synthetic theater that was short and to the point. They wanted design to be electric so that it could compete with mediums like film. In scenic design, they favored abstractions and forceful lines. According to Marinetti and his pals, it is stupid to renounce the dynamic leap in the void of total creation beyond the range of territory previously explored.
Once upon a time, there lived a girl named Cinderella. Her evil stepmom had convinced her that she was a robot. She was really only half robot and could still feel stuff, but whatever, you'll catch on.
Oh, hey stepmom, do you have a second? Not really. I'm in a hurry to go to the races tonight. Rockefeller's son will be there, and I hear he's looking for a bride. He would be great for your stepsisters. What is it, Cinderella?
Well, actually, it's just, I would really like to go to the races as well, if you think it would be all right.
You? To the races? Cinderella, there must be a bug in your programming. A robot has no place desiring to go to the races, or desiring at all, for that matter. Besides, someone has to stay here and maintain the factory. Wouldn't want missile production slowing because of you. Now enough. I must be going.
What's wrong, Cinderella? Who are you? I'm your internal fairy interface, here to guide you through difficulties you might face. Oh, internal fairy interface, I really want to go to the races tonight. My stepmom will not let me. She says androids are not allowed. They only serve apples. I feel so bad. I should not feel anything.
Oh, Cinderella, do not be silly. It is natural for you to feel. And since you desire so to go to the races, I will send you. But be back before midnight. Hey, sup?
Who are you?
You don't know? I'm Rockefeller's kid. Nice car you got there. Glass hubcaps. Cool. Wanna dance?
Sure. I must be going.
So soon? Wait.
I will search the city to find you. And he did. And he found her. And they lived happily ever after, waging war and creating a dystopian world. Meanwhile, Cinderella's stepsisters died in a violent car crash, and her stepmom was killed when a missile exploded in her factory. The end.
And with that, it's time to explore our next ism of the day, and that is expressionism. German expressionism was an artistic rejection of naturalism inspired by Freud's idea of the subconscious. You know, id, ego, superego, all that jazz. It was defined by its self-referentiality, discontinuity, fragmentation, and distortion. Early expressionist styles can be seen in the works of Wedekind and Strindberg, but most scholars agree that the first concrete example of expressionism is found in Oskar Koschka's Murder, Hope of Womankind in 1909. This movement came largely from the sorrow of the Germans after their defeat in World War I and was informed by the anxieties of the modern world. Their plays were notable for abrupt and condensed dialogue and unrealistic acting that rejected psychological nuances and motivations. They would often alternate whispering and shrieking their lines, and their movements were rhythmic and mechanical. Their scenic designs were often distorted, with shadows painted on the walls and scenery that narrowed upwards. In lighting, they used subjective viewpoints and spotlights that isolated characters in extreme circumstances.
Once upon a midnight dreary. Oops, wrong story. Cinderella's not a robot anymore, and you'll catch on to the rest.
Oh, that I could dance with kings.
She's forbidden from the inner court. She is forbidden from the dance where we will wed. The dance where I will wed the prince. Where I will wed the prince. Where the prince, there I will wed. I. Oh, the agony of hearts unfilled with love. Bippity-boppity, all to save this poor young girl.
Who is this girl that shines like silver? She understands what none can fathom. She shines amidst the fools. Dance with me, stranger. And like a mist she vanishes, and I am left with glass. Search the land from border to border. I will not rest until my eyes gaze upon her once more. At last I have found you, and I you. Then we shall be together. It is forbidden. Then we shall denounce their reign with blood, their jewels and pearls be damned. I shall be your inheritance, and I yours.
And they probably didn't live happily ever after, but they denounced their parents' burgoy's values, so that's gotta count for something.
Last but definitely not least is this fun movement from the 50s and 60s called absurdism. Absurdism is essentially theater for existentialists. It features absurd comedic situations with an underlying message of metaphysical distress. Theater of the absurd was described by Martin Esslin in his book in 1961. The movement was informed by a world broken and forever changed by World War II and the ideas of communism, fascism, Nazism, imperialism, and nationalism, responsible for so much destruction throughout the world. Absurdist playwrights were inspired by Albert Camus' philosophy that the human situation is essentially absurd and devoid of purpose. Absurdists rejected system building and denied any overall meaning to the world or human history. Absurdist plays featured characters in horrible situations performing absurdly repetitive actions. They were comedies with nightmarish images and dialogue notable for their use of platitudes, wordplay, cliches, puns, repetitions, and non sequiturs. There were no heroes or villains in this world, simply a coexisting duo that didn't necessarily like each other, but could not imagine being separate. These characters lived in settings that would be absurd and unrealistic to us, but are completely natural and ordinary to them.
Once upon a dream. What? What do you mean this is the wrong story? We're still on Cinderella? I quit. It's not getting any better.
You shouldn't sleep in heels. You can barely walk in them.
I've got a blister.
Well, what would you like?
I'd like it to heal. I thought the problem was the heel. Oh, never mind.
That's a fun-looking spot. Let's go. We can't. Why not? We're waiting for the prince. Are you sure we were to wait here? This is the palace. Where else would we wait? You sure this is the place? It's the palace? He should be here. We don't know for sure he's coming. And if he doesn't, we'll come back tomorrow. And if he doesn't come then, we'll come back the next day. And the next, I guess. I feel as if I know her. I've seen her a lot, but I don't recall her name. Nasty things she's dancing with. Lucky fellow to dance with her, though. Yes, lucky. Look, a messenger. I feel as if I know her. I've seen her a lot, but I don't recall her name. The prince says he wasn't coming today, but he will be here tomorrow for sure. I guess we must wait here. And what should I do? Clean!
This program was brought to you in part by these awesome sources: Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot, Oscar Brockett and Franklin J. Hildy's History of Theater, Andrew Dickinson's Nonsense Talk, Theater of the Absurd, William Grange's Historical Dictionary of German Theater, Ryan Helterbrand's Ecstasies of War, Anti-Fascism, an Italian Futurist Performance 1909 through 1919, Richard Hornby's Theater of the Absurd, Oscar Koshka's Murder, The Woman's Hope, F.T. Marinetti and Friends, The Futurist Synthetic Theatre, and Claire Warden's Modern Avant-Garde Performance. Thank you for spending your time with us here today on Theatrical Styles for Kids. Catch you later!